Well, your hot tub curmudgeon has made a visit to the Louisiana State Penitentiary at Angola. I think the largest prison in America and maybe the second largest prison in the world. And I understand, I've read somewhere it was like 70% black men and about 70% lifers. That would have been about my sixth visit there. I go to visit a man that is in for life. And, you know, it came to me on this visit that if you go in when you're 25 and you serve 25 years, isn't that a life sentence? And this guy's done 35 years, I think. And here's the thing. I used to practice law, so I've got a pretty good bullshit sniffer. And so I've known this man now for 20 years. That means he and I have each known each other for a third of our lives. And my bullshit sniffer does not detect bullshit in this man. Now, there are some men there in the prison that just visiting with a little bit or even just looking at. And he generally backs me up. Yeah, that's not somebody. Anyway, I went down for his graduation from electrical training. Now, he doesn't want to touch 110 volts. He doesn't want to touch 220 volts. So he specialized in conduit bending. Yeah. So anyway, he graduated. And later in the lunchroom, all the visitors and all the graduates got together to have some lunch and cake, and I got to visit with a friend of my friend, and just a charming young black man. And I said, you know, I want to share something that's kind of racist, and so scoot in here closer. So, you know, so we got in close, and I said, you know, when I look at those black men walk across the stage and get their diplomas, and I look at the white men walk across the stage and get their diplomas, what I see is a whole lot of black men that did did that stupid thing, which, you know, even shooting somebody, I'm going to put in that category. They made a stupid mistake when they were young and or addicted. And now they just seem like trustworthy guys that if you gave them a chance, they'd take it. But I said, you know, most of those white guys walking across the stage, I wouldn't loan them $5. They give me the creeps. And so he looked around the room to see who I might be talking about. And well, yeah, I think you're right. So I really wish that somebody had the money to go in and maybe do a sampling of 200 black men in the prison and 100 or 200 white men in the prison. Give them, I think it's called the Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory, or some similar thing like that. And let's get a read on who are these guys that are in prison. My bet is that the black guys are guys who did something stupid in their 20s, and now they're going to pay for it the rest of their lives in confinement. And I think the majority of the white guys are sociopaths and pedophiles. That's my bet. Anyway, it was a really good visit, and I got inspired to apply for a teaching job. So you may see the hot tub curmudgeon down in Louisiana at a future broadcast. The next day I went back for a visit with my friend, and I spent like about 3 hours arguing about religion. And I would say that the central argument was that my position is that the manner in which you live your life determines your openness to receive the blessings of heavenly company. And no, his position was that there ain't, there's only one heaven. And then later it occurred to me that maybe a metaphor of what I'm talking about is, let's just suppose that we get to heaven, and everybody is given a red Ferrari racing car, and there's a racetrack. And Bob lived his life in such a way that he never learned to drive. So he just keeps it in his driveway, and he shines it up every Saturday and just admires the beauty of the thing. Maybe starts it up. And then Edgar, he learned to drive, but he never learned to drive a stick shift. So he's kind of in the same position. And Martha did learn to drive a stick shift, but she just takes this red Ferrari down to the grocery store every couple of days. That she uses it for that. And Harold, well, he likes to get out there and just roar around the track with that thing, but he doesn't trust himself to be out there with other drivers. Could be dangerous. And then Leroy, wow, he's a racing fool. So he knows, he has lived his life to fully prepare himself for the operation of a high-powered racing machine. And he gets out there and he races with it. Okay, everybody got the same heaven, but the manner in which we live our lives determines our openness to receive heavenly company. That's the nature of our argument. We went on for about 3 hours. We had a good time. But what I would like to encourage you is find yourself a pen pal, or find some way of getting acquainted with somebody in prison. Get down there and visit them. You can argue about religion on a whole lot of different subjects, but I think that 3 things are central to your spiritual growth. Do you feed the hungry? Do you clothe the naked? Do you visit those in prison? And there'll come a day when Jesus says, you didn't visit me. I don't know you. So go visit. And now, the first time I went, first time you go, you'll be afraid, like you're in this room with all of these convicts, and God, what if things go bad? In fact, the first time I went, I didn't read the instructions. I don't read instructions. I don't read any instructions. And the instructions said, had I read them, don't wear blue denim jeans and don't wear blue work shirts. And it's exactly what I wrote. And so, I get all the way through the screening process and take this 20-minute drive out to the main prison. So way out in East Bumfudge, Egypt, the prison. And they said, well, you can't come in here. You look just like the prisoners. Oh. So I started heading back out to the bus, and some lieutenant said, who are you here to see? And I yelled it, and she turns around, and there's this whole crowd of black guys at the bars. And she said, you there? And he raises his hand, and apparently he'd been a good enough citizen that she knew him, and said, okay, come on in, but stay right here next to the desk. And if any trouble breaks out, get down on the floor and stay put. Jesus, okay. Anyway, so yeah, the first time I visited, I was terrified. Now, this is the 6th time I visited, and my friend didn't come out for about 20 minutes. He had to get cleared. And so I'm walking around the room by myself, and there's at least 4 guys that I recognize. So one was, what the hell, I'll give his name, Lawrence Jacobs, and he's Muslim. So I said, Salam Alaikum, and he said whatever that return greeting is. And so we visited a little bit, and he recognized me. He's glad to see me. Urged me to bring one of my Pakistani daughters next time to meet him. And then I went on around the room, and there's this handsome young guy. I'll call him a kid, but who knows? He's probably 30 years old. And real handsome young guy. And the last time I'd been there, I'd commented on, wait a minute, didn't I just see you over there? And turns out there's somebody in there looks just like him. So I says, hey, is that you or is it your twin? So he gave the only answer. Well, no, it's me. And then there was a guy they call Rambo, and he's got about 6 teeth in the front of his mouth. I don't know about the back of his mouth. The front of his mouth is gold, all this gold. I said, hey, give me that $400 smile of yours. And just a funny guy. I liked him. So anyway, had fun joking with all these guys. At one point, the graduates were all in line to get their picture taken, and so there's this little guy. God, he looked like maybe about 5 feet tall. Geez, what would that be like to be in prison? A little white guy, 5 feet tall. And so I was, hey, don't you play the guitar in the band? No, I play the bass. Hey, it has strings and a neck, and you pick it with your fingers. Is it a guitar? And the guys all around him, yeah, it's a guitar. And he says, but, you know, he ain't the best guy here. And so they're pointing at this other little bitty guy, elsewhere in the line, and said, ain't nobody in here can cast a shadow with that guy. And I said, well, yeah, that guy, but he don't cast much of a shadow himself. Har, 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 har. They all laughed at that. And so, you know, it's just, I am very able to just walk around and be casual and have fun with these guys. If you want to buy some food or some pralines or coffee, you go to the vendor, you know, the prisoners who are selling the stuff, and they fill out a little slip, and you take that over to the cashier, hand that in with the money, and they stamp it as paid, and you take it back, and you get your pralines and your coffee. So I throw some money through the window, and I can't remember what the heck, but the lady behind the window says something snarky to me, and I says, hey, just because you're pretty don't mean you can be lippy to me. A bunch of people stand around, prisoners start laughing, and then I said, you know, you got more lip than an alligator. Anyway, had a good time. So what I want to say is that you'll make some friends if you go, and it's a comfortable, enjoyable experience to make contact with these guys. So at one point, my friend's pastor and two of his assistants sit down at our table, and I'll be damned, we get to talking about religion again. And I said, how often do you guys do this? Get all worked up talking about religion? Every day. So, that's interesting. What else can I tell you about all of it? My friend was very, very grateful that I had come to see him. And, you know, I've got, at least 2 aneurysms of my aorta. And if those suckers pop, I'm dead in about 4 minutes. But otherwise, I might need surgery, and surgeries have not gone all that well for me in the past. So I got a hold of my kids, and I said, if you hold a memorial service for me, please get a hold of Harold by email ahead and make arrangements for him to call in, collect to the service, and say a few nice things to counter the crap that my grandson Elijah is going to say about me. Elijah just picks up on every goofball thing I've ever said, and he just is delighted to repeat it at my funeral, he says. Please, get out there, visit those in prison, feed the hungry, clothe the naked. If you want to feed the hungry, come down to the Federal Way Community Supper. I'm cooking, I'll put you to work, and we'll cook up some pasta and meat and salad for the hobos. I'd love to see you. Bye.